Okay, so we are live now on Man to Man Family Podcast on Facebook. Let me just make sure everything is good on that side. Just checking to make sure everything is good here. Okay, I'm sharing the link on my Choco Millionaire page right now.
Watch, okay? Don't go down and step and be here, okay?
I have also sent the link to you just now on WhatsApp. All right. All right. So, welcome to Man Family Podcast. Your life. Thanks for tuning in. I have my co-host with me. Like to call him Evangelist Papa Joe, aka Big Joe, aka Joe Fanche, the medicine man who works in the lab. Coming to you, he's all the way in Edmonton, Alberta, Edmonton in Canada, and I'm all the way in Ontario. The two of us are connecting. Yeah, Central Canada versus the West Coast, connecting. Welcome to Man Podcast. If today is your first time watching us, please consider liking our Man Family Podcast page on Facebook. We are also live on YouTube. The name is the same, Man Family Podcast. This is where we talk about men in marriage and how we can build resilient marriages and families so that our society can thrive. So if you believe that you have a role to play to make your marriage successful, and if you believe that your husband has a major role to play in your marriage or in your family, please invite your husband to come and listen to us. Okay, let your husband know though that there is a conversation of men going around. Even if he considers himself to be wiser than us, let him come and share his experience with us so we can all learn. We want to learn. We want to better our society by leading by example, through examples too. Okay. All right. My co-host here. How are you doing, Papa Joe?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very, very fine too. You are flying, looking colorful in your outfit. Made
Thank you
in
very much.
this outfit. Did you sew it in Canada here, or you brought it all the way from Africa?
I brought it from the homeland.
From the homeland, eh? Gamashi from Accra. Oh,
Absolutely. Yes.
then your tailor, he did a good job. Oh, eh? Your tailor did a good job. It's colorful, it's bright. Eh?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Nice, nice. How is the weather today on your side? We had a bit of snow today. How is the weather?
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Today is sunny here, but cold. It's like -5 degrees right now.
Okay,
But it's cold. Yeah.
it's cold. Okay, all right. Our temperature is also the same. We had a bit of snow today, so not too bad. All right, let's go straight into today's topic. Do you have any message for our followers from last week's? Mhm,
Yes, I want to just thank those who have been partnering with us, as we started this journey. I
mhm,
want to say thank you very much for the love they have shown.
mhm,
We are deeply encouraged by the comments we read, and in fact, it tells us that we are actually charting a course that we think would do us a lot of good, especially if we want to help build men together, take their rightful place in the homes, in the families, and then the communities at
mhm.
large. I
Yeah.
think we can build very resilient families, and for that, we are very grateful. We are very, very grateful and thankful for the support we have actually received.
Mhm.
Your comments are encouraging, and I want to thank you for that encouragement.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much there. Our followers that we appreciate you, myself and my co-host, Papa Joe. Thank you so much. Now, today's topic, very interesting one. Last time we looked at culture and how culture can affect our marriages, especially if we don't harness our culture properly, depending on where we find ourselves in the world. We looked at a very sad situation in the US where a family was wiped out on the surface of the earth, from the surface of the earth. Both the man and the wife were all gone, killed themselves, actually. Today, we want to look at extended families. Extended family. I'm of the opinion that our extended families are supposed to be a blessing from God to us in our marriages. This is where we plug our beautiful spouses from. Both the husband and the man come from our extended families. This is where we're nurtured. So it is meant to be a blessing or an extra resource that God wants us to utilize to build our marriages. There are a lot of families that have been able to thrive and flourish just because of how positive their extended families have been in their lives. But often at times, Papa Joe, our extended families have been in the news for bad reasons of late. Mhm. There have been
Mhm.
all kinds of troubles or names that come to mind when we think of extended families and our families. Papa Joe, is it always the case that our extended families are the nicest or the most beautiful allies we need before marriage, during courtship, during the wedding, during the engagement, and then after they're married, they become our enemies? Some people even call them as monster extended families, monster in-laws. There is a movie called The Monster In-Law, for example, right? Is it that bad of a situation, Big Joe? Mhm,
I would say that our
mhm,
extended families actually are a resource to us.
mhm,
The kind of love, support that we derive from them.
mhm,
It's a resource that ought to be actually tapped and developed properly. Don't
mhm,
forget that we were born into these families.
mhm.
I grew up in the extended family.
Yeah,
Before I'll grow up and marry,
yeah.
I will be in my extended family.
Mm,
So my growing up, you know, my values, my norms, my priorities, principles are actually put together. My
mm,
ideology
mm.
shaped by my extended family.
In the family.
And I stay there until I would marry.
Mm,
So that relationship or the relationships that we have over there, very, very important relationships. And if we do understand where we are coming from, we would know that extended family relations are very, very important in our lives. Now,
beautiful.
when we come to a point of marriage, or before we even get married,
Mm-hmm.
we introduce whoever that would be the spouse, either the wife or the husband, will be introduced to the extended family.
Mm,
The extended family will work, in fact, they will do their work all the way until you get married.
mm.
Even after the marriage, the extended family will be there
True, true.
because your parents will be there, your siblings will be there, your aunties, your uncles will always be there, even though you are
Mm,
married.
mm-hmm.
But how we manage the relationships after
Mm,
marriage is what is very, very important. A lot of the time, that is where the issues begin to come from. And sometimes you realize that, oh, you have a very great family before you
Mhm.
got married. Now you
Yeah.
are married, and it's as though you got married and everything just fell off.
Yeah.
It's not the case. It's just because of the way we see the extended families or how we manage those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very important that we take a closer look at dealing with extended family relations because they
Mm-hmm.
can either ruin, they can make or break your relationship with your spouse.
Yeah.
And it's very important. Yes,
Very
it's a very,
important.
very great resource that we have.
Very important. I remember when I was getting married, the support I had from my extended family, mother's side, father's side, was so great. I can imagine some of us would have had lonely marriage, transitions or events if we did not have the support of our extended families. Um, I have a Nigerian friend, Mr. Chidi, a pastor here, actually, Pastor Chidi, and he recently went back to Nigeria. And guess what? A parcel of land has been made available by his parents. And all he had to do was to go and build on the land, build apartments on it. Isn't that beautiful? That when you have
Very.
your
Oh,
extended
wow.
family, especially your
That's
own
very beautiful.
parents, giving you such a legacy, all right? It's so beautiful. If we look at our Asian or Middle East, extended families also play. This is not just a black culture thing. I think it's general, especially when you look at the other parts of the world, especially Middle East, Asia, for example. Let's look at India. All right. In India, it is impossible to just have a nuclear family that is disconnected from the extended family.
Mhm.
Like you said, it can be a very good resource if we manage it well, but it can also be a very disastrous resource if we don't use it well. It can be a strong weapon to work against us. Now, today we want to see how best we can foster. Let's start off with we are both Christians, so we are influenced by Christian theology, also our culture. Like you said, our culture shapes our identity, our values, right? And then based on our religion as well, we tap in from there. So I, for example, my culture, my Ghanaian culture, within the Ghanaian culture, my Ewe culture, within the Ewe culture, my Ga aspect where I grew up, and a whole lot of things have come together to shape the way we organize things, right? And then my scriptural background as a Christian source to shape. Now, in the Bible, we are told that a man must leave, a woman must leave, and then join a man, and then the two become. Take us into Genesis 2, when we talk about the union between man. How special is this? Why is this a big deal when a man and a woman come together to marry? Mhm.
Well, first and foremost, you have to understand that marriage was not the intent of man.
Mm,
No man decided to create marriage. In
mm,
fact, God, in his infinite wisdom, when he had created everything, decided, let's create man in our own image.
mm,
So man created, like I said the other day, male and female.
mm,
And after the man had seen the woman, he said, wow,
mm,
this is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
mm,
And there in Genesis chapter 2, reading from verse 24 and 25, he said, therefore a man shall leave his
mm,
father and mother and be joined
mm,
to his wife, and the two shall become one.
mm,
And so it is God's intent. God is the institutor. That institution of marriage was created by God. He created man, male and female, he joined them together. And that is exactly what he expects man and woman to be, joined together. Now, in the marriage relationships, the marriage actually reflects the love between God, the Godhead.
mhm,
That is the first, the Godhead, how they live together in harmony.
mm,
It reflects that, love
mm.
that exists between the Godhead.
I see.
And
Beautiful.
then Christ and the church.
And Christ and the church. So that is a
These are,
comparison. Christ
this
and
is
the
good.
church. And
Yes,
then the
symbolically.
man and the woman, okay,
Yes.
reflecting God, the harmony. Beautiful.
Yes. So in marriage, the man is supposed to leave and then cleave, or what I
Mm,
said, join together.
mm,
And most often than not, we see living You see, sometimes physically you see people leave,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the cleaving, the cleaving part where they
Mm,
are joined together?
mm-hmm.
What normally we see around is that people leave, but they don't cleave.
Wow,
Now,
that's deep. Did you
when you're
just
talking
say?
about living, you have to
Mm-hmm.
live. You have to live
Mm-hmm.
ethically. You have to live financially. You have to live
Mm,
materially. You have to live emotionally. You have to live lifestyles and relationships. And the biggest thing that you ought to live from is self.
mm,
A lot of the time, people go into the marriage having left all these emotionally, physically, materially, but they have not left from self. There are some
wow,
people who actually value self more than the new relation than that spouse.
wow.
And when you have not left like that, you would have issues. You
Big
ought
job.
to leave. When the
Mm-hmm.
leave is complete, you have left completely,
Mm-hmm.
then you cleave. Then you are joined together. You adhere firmly
Mm-hmm.
and closely to your spouse.
Mm.
When this takes place, after the leaving and the cleaving, then you see bonding.
Bonding.
Then you see bonding. When you have not left properly and you are not cleaving properly, you will not find any bonding.
Big Joe, this is deep. The things you are saying is deep. So the whole idea of a man leaving one part and then cleaving to the woman is deeper than we see. It means you leaving yourself behind, form a new union with your partner, a brand new union. And you are saying that in practice, it is very difficult for a lot of people to do. Some people leave, but they don't cleave onto their spouses because financially they are still in their old selves, stuck in their
Mhm,
old life.
mhm,
Emotionally, they still haven't left
mhm,
things behind.
mhm, mhm,
Spiritually, they still haven't left. Wow.
mhm.
Now, if we are not able to live properly, to cleave properly, it suggests that the bonding will have problems when it comes to bonding and forming that kind of partnership as a couple. Mhm.
Absolutely. The bonding is not actually going to happen. The
Mm,
bonding will not happen if you have not left properly. You
mm,
see, the living is very important
mm,
because if it is not done properly, you might think you have actually left.
mm,
You haven't. There are some people who have friends, and let me mention that
mm,
living from friends is also key. Some people they would have left their families, like extended families, all right. They would have left physically, they would have left financially, they're on their own,
mhm.
emotionally. But there are others who do not live and live their friends and their lifestyles.
Wow.
They carry their single life, their single lifestyle,
Mhm.
and friendships that they have or had. Of course, some of the friends will still be there, and they bring it into the relationship and to some extent even champion those friendships
Mm.
than the newly formed marriage relationship with their new spouse.
Hmm.
And
Big Joe.
so you see that there's problem. And unfortunately, you see, marriage is not for the amateur.
It's for the
Marriage,
grown-ups, people who understand it.
marriage is for the mature. You ought to
Mm,
be mature to be
mm,
married. And so you are living and you know that I am joining to my spouse, my wife, my husband, and
mhm.
together we
Yeah.
become one unit. You are already one,
Mhm.
full and complete. He or she is already one, full and complete. But when you come together, you become another complete entity.
Mm.
Yeah.
See, beautiful. Guys, if you're watching, please share this on your platform. If you have a fiance you're planning to settle down with, if you're married, consider inviting your spouse to take part in this conversation. We're hoping that these conversations can encourage our men to come forward to discuss issues that confront our marriages so that we can fight them head on. Please drop your comments. As you can see, your comments get displayed or your questions get displayed on the screen. Man to Man Family Podcast, where we talk everything about men the man's perspective, the man's perspective when it comes to marriage. We are not perfect people. We have our own problems. And as time goes on, we'll be talking about our own individual challenges in our own marriages. And then we share ideas, trusting that God will give us the strength to become better husbands for our wives. If you're watching this, thanks so much for watching us. Gifty Indom say this is a nice topic. And then there was another one there on the screen. Big Joe, if you can see some of them, you can take a couple of them as well. Keep your questions coming, keep your comments coming as well. Please share this on your platforms as well so that we can have others. Big Joe.
This is Gideon Hassan, and he says, great topic.
Beautiful, beautiful. And there is also one there for you as well.
And this one, okay, no, hold on. This is from Humble Pie Percy Tackleson. Good day, great men, doing great work. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. You are very much encouraged.
Good, good. Thank you. If you want your comments and your questions to reflect, please post them under the Man to Man Family Podcast live video. If you post them on Choco Millionaire, there's a good chance I might not see you there because we are live on Man to Man Family Podcast. All right. So comment there. Look for us on YouTube and Facebook. Like, follow, subscribe. We hope that this platform will be a blessing to young men and those who are married. We share ideas and we can make better husbands as well. All right. Now, back to the topic of living and cleaving and then the baggages that we bring into our marriages. Before we go into some of the problems we have, can we talk about some of the benefits we can derive from our extended families if we utilize that resource or those relationships so well?
Oh, yes. Well, it's a fortress, like extended families. Like you don't go wrong with them. You grew up there. They gave birth to you. They love you. They've always been there growing up. And, in extended family, from our culture, we back to the same culture because we never, do away with the culture. We are part of it. We'll be here until death do us part. Now, so we show love, concern, sometimes it's not just only your parents or your siblings. You have extended family, aunties, uncles, maybe even grand auntie, grand uncle, chipping in, coming in, showing the love, everything. And so, it's such a rich relationship that we have with them. Especially in these extended family relations, there is what we call love. Because in some families, there's always rift. So you don't even enjoy what we're talking about. Some families, they always have rifts in their extended families, they're fighting here and there. And so in fact, in that relationship, you just want to marry and go away, or you just want to be by yourself. And so there are those ones too. But if you grew up nurtured, brought up, trained properly in the home, where there is love and harmony, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful resource that we have. In fact, the love we get, concern, in fact, they will show support. Even if when you're getting married, you're not going by yourself. You bring the woman or the man home, you introduce them to your parents, your family, you're going to see. Oh, guess what? When the children come, you're going to name them. They will always be there. And not saying that, but even if death do you part, the same family will be there.
Beautiful. That's true. When we have our funerals, they are the first we call on to, right? You'll be asking, where's your family head? They have to organize a funeral. And wedding days, for example, they are so important. Our traditional engagements, they are so important. They are the embodiment of and the custodians of our culture and societal values, right?
Absolutely.
They are so important. Some of them are the ones who raised us and made us the men we are today. Very beautiful. This is one of the advantages we have over the Western culture, isn't it? Because the kind of communal sense, the sense of community and extended family fellowship that we have, especially growing up in Africa, when we marry, the support we get, that is not what we tend to see a lot here. There are people in the Western world, especially when it comes to the Caucasian, not many of them have that kind of connection. There are people who are completely disconnected from their extended families. They They don't even know where they are. They don't talk to their fathers. They don't talk to their mothers. Not because they have sometimes rift, but just because they don't see the need to even connect. There are people who are around, they're married, but they have no in-laws. They don't believe in that idea. But we in Africa, we believe in this. And I believe that the support we get is enormous. Like, we literally use our extended families as an important helping point when we even migrate to the Western world. Think about it. Some of us here, childcare is a big problem, especially you are working, your wife is also working, right? And then you have to take care of the children. It can be really, really tough. But there are times when you can get your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, or somebody from the family coming to visit. And then the few months that they spend with you, you can see the support that they give you. Because here, many of us cannot afford nannies. We can't afford to pay house helps, right? So when, not to say we are using our in-laws as house help, but the whole idea that when they come here, they give us those kind of supports is priceless, isn't it, Big Joe?
It is priceless,
It's priceless.
invaluable. You can't match it. And it's very, very important because, like you just mentioned, when they do come, the help and support we receive from them,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to pay or put money to, childcare in the diaspora in the Western
Mm-hmm.
world is expensive.
Yeah.
And we have it, of course, we take it for granted back
Mm-hmm.
home
We take it for granted.
because of our communal way of living.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, look at how they build their houses. Look at how they
Mm-hmm.
build their apartment.
Yeah.
It's each for himself.
Each for himself. That's true.
You are there with your wife
Your
and
wife and the
your,
children. That's
and
it.
your children.
Yeah, that's it.
So can you imagine if this is all you have, and then you are at loggerheads with your wife? That means
And
you don't even have to.
you have
You can
nowhere to
imagine
eat.
what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
And so, yes, when we do have extended family relations like come around visiting, it's important.
It's
You
very
know, they
important.
give us a feel of back home.
Mhm.
Because every now and then you can imagine we are calling home, we're talking because, oh yeah, we home safe. You want to know the vibe, what's going on down
The
there.
vibe, yeah.
So yes, yes. When they do come, it's important that we receive that kind of love, the support we do receive from them. But you
Yes.
see, when it's not managed properly, that
Properly.
is where the issue is.
The
Because
problem.
I know men and women who do not even want to have their extended families over.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes by they themselves, not even from their spouse's extended family,
Mm.
because they didn't have proper, relationship growing up with them. So even when the need arises for them to, lend a hand to
Mm-hmm.
support in an area, it's not forthcoming.
Mm.
It's not forthcoming because, they didn't have a, good relation. Now,
Mm.
not to even talk about it if it's coming from the other side, your spouse's family.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then it becomes another ballgame.
Yeah.
But these things begin from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
When you're having issues like this with extended families, they do actually begin from somewhere. They don't just, spring up, just come about out of nowhere.
Okay.
It's usually starts from somewhere, and usually it's either the couple that allowed that to happen. And I think as we go on, we're going to delve into some of the areas where we allow things to come in.
Let's get straight into this. Now, it can be tough when we are even from the same culture. Let's say an Akan marries an Akan, or an Ewe marries an Ewe, or a Ga marries a Ga, and we still have problems in handling our extended families. I can imagine the problem that will come if we are even of different cultures. Let's say a Ghanaian marries a Nigerian, or a Nigerian marries a Kenyan, or a Mozambican marries a Gabonese, or Beninois marries somebody from Tanzania. And the
Mm,
cultures are even not similar. And then we are not able to manage our extended families. It can be very difficult. What are some of the reasons or the causes of the problems that we have with our extended family? Is it a failure on our part as couples to be able to manage our extended families well, or it is the fact that our extended families are just nosy, busy bodies, as Second Thessalonians, Paul like to say it is Second Thessalonians. Some of you are busybodies
Everybody.
doing nothing, causing problem. Is it the case that our extended families are just sometimes too nosy, poking their nose too much into our young marriages? Or it is the fact that we, the couples, are the ones who open the floodgate for them?
In fact, most often, in fact, 99% of the time, it is the couple that will actually open the gates, open the
Mm,
doorway for anybody else to come in. You can imagine when couple start dating, when they start
mhm,
dating, seeing each other, express interest, they are together, they talk about everything, anything.
mhm,
They even talk to, families about, oh, I met this man, I met this woman, this is what we are doing. And so, talking to them is not a bad thing, but to what extent? So usually from the beginning, it's okay, lovey-dovey, everything is fine and great. But as time goes on, you begin to know the person, you begin to see the person properly for who they are. Don't
mm,
forget that we are, as human beings, we are able to pretend or mask our relationship
mhm,
until such time that you're like, whoa, I didn't even believe this thing was there.
mhm,
So what happens is that we're talking, we see certain things. Now, when we don't see whatever weaknesses or strengths that we see in the other party, usually it's the couple that go talk about these things to their family. You
oh,
want to get married to a man
mhm,
and you see a weakness in the man. It is for you, as the woman, the wife, it is a burden. Don't forget that the man that God gives you has the potential to be
mm,
whatever you want him to be. But
mm,
there is what we call hard work.
mm,
It doesn't come on a silver platter. You have to work to make that man into what you see in him or you want him to be.
mm.
And that goes the
The
same, vice
opposite
versa.
way. The man also
Yes,
need to work hard on the woman to
absolutely.
transform the woman
And
into whatever. Mm,
absolutely. The
yes.
man is going to come in a package.
Mm,
He's going to have his weaknesses, he's going to have his
it's
strengths.
fine.
The woman will have hers. And so these are there. But when we do see these, it is for us to work on them, talk about them, not to go tell our extended family.
Wow.
You won't tell your mom, your dad, this man is like this man is like that, or this woman is so so and so. You don't know what you are doing. You are denigrating,
You are
you are
exposed.
demeaning.
Mm,
Don't forget, you will be married to him.
yeah.
You will be living with him. Can you imagine you go say something awful about your husband or your
Mm,
wife to your mother or your father? And then the next moment, you are walking hand in hand in the street. You are in town. Even whoever you tell, these things to, when they see you, they laugh at you.
you
Immediately
don't
they know that
your
something is
husband
wrong.
is not a stuff because you have already told everybody around the weakness of your husband. Mm. For example, somebody like I think I am so guilty. The early stages of my marriage, when my wife first came to Canada, I made this mistake, silly mistake. But I believe the Holy Spirit gave me the strength and the wisdom to learn from it. I'm so used to eating my mom's food. Her okra is so unique, huh? Her okra, so unique. I remember when my wife first made an okra soup here. I thought it was so weird. I wasn't used to that kind of okra. You see, my mom's okra, there is always palm oil on top. Most of the time, palm oil. But my wife has this style of doing okra where sometimes she use the palm oil, sometimes she wouldn't use the palm oil. So I remember the first time she did it, she cooked. She did the okra without palm oil. So I looked at it and it looked funny to me. All right. I remember after eating it, me and my mom talk, how is everything? How is everything going? And I think my lips here give out the secret. So she just made, banku or something with the okra. Then I remember saying that no, it's not like yours. I compared and I said it, but it's not like yours. I still miss yours. But the way I said it, I felt I made it look as if my wife's own is not nice. And I kind of miss my mom's own. It was later on that, you know what? the Holy Spirit, I never told my wife about it. So if she's watching this right now, she's playing with the kids inside. If she watches this, she will know that I confess about this. But I think at some point the Holy Spirit just told me that I was very stupid. Why will you compare your wife's cooking to that of your mom? Your mom is your mom. Your wife can never be your mom, right? The way they cook us is so different. You shouldn't compare. Many of us, we make this, we compare everything. We compare our wife's body to other people. We compare things. We compare everything about our husband to other people. These are the things that begin to break marriages. For example, we men, we don't like to be compared to other people. In fact, for you to even compare me with your brother, who is my brother-in-law, or somebody in your family, that alone sets the tone for something. So imagine me doing the same thing, comparing my wife to somebody else in my family in a way that lowers my wife or denigrates my wife. I'm not sure my wife is supposed to see me as a partner and an ally who has a best interest. Because if I really love her, I'll see the good in her and find out how I can be able to help her become that person that I want to see. Those were the early days, but I become way smarter. I never make those silly mistakes. You hear, if you watch my channel, you see how I talk about my wife's food. Now, with time, I can't even remember my mom's okra soup anymore because my wife's okra soup is that signature now on my tongue. You understand? So I think it is maturity. Maybe I was very immature at that time when I just became married. We compare almost everything. And some of us will pick our phone, we'll call our mothers, especially those of us who are mama bars, meaning that mommy's boy. We'll call our mother, then we'll explain everything that is happening to our mothers. We'll call our fathers, and we tend to talk more to our mothers even than our, and we let out all the secrets. So at the end of the day, what are we doing? We are actually destroying, denigrating our wives, denigrating our husbands to our mothers and our father-in-laws. I think it's a sign that we are exposing the vulnerability of our spouses to our parents. What do you think about that?
Yes, when we do exactly what you have explained, you see, a lot of the time we come in with expectations, and it is not wrong for that to happen in the first instance because you have lived a certain way for a number of years. Your mind, your body, it's used to doing things a certain way, eating kind of food a certain way. And so if overnight what you are having is not the same, chances are you'll be like, oh, what happened? But that is where the mind, we talked about maturity. You see, you have to move from immediately you decide you are married and you know you are spending the rest of your life with your spouse. In fact, someone has written something here, and I think it's very important. And it's that one. It says, when you marry your partner, you marry the whole extended family. That is true. That is very, very true. Because your family marries into that family. So because of your union, because of that single union you have, the two families have actually become together, one together. And that is why it is important that you manage the relationships in both families. Because now the families are together, you are one. So your in-law, you have to have a relationship, your brothers-in-law, your aunties. In fact, this is our culture. And you cannot run away from it. Managing that is what is important, like you said. You don't have to compare. Yes, maybe, oh, wow, I used to have this in the morning. Now you are married to a woman who wants to give you, for example, maybe you came from a home and in the mornings you have, omelets, you have like purely British, breakfast or something.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. But you get married and the lady who comes, okay, wants to treat you to something else. Maybe wants to give you French toast, wants to give you something else. You ought to open up your mind. In fact, there are a few things that I'd wanted to mention earlier about when we did last week, the culture, growing in the culture. It is important that you get to know and understand the background of your partner. And so, for example, their food, what they eat, what they enjoy, what they like. When you are served, this is your partner. You have to eat and you have to enjoy it, even if it's not good, because this is what you signed up for.
Mm,
You have to grow to come and like it, to come and love it. It's not
mm,
going to be easy. These are some
mhm,
of the adjustments, the adaptations and adjustments that do need to take place in relationships when we
mhm,
get married. Unfortunately, we don't come to that point. We don't even understand that we ought to adapt and adjust.
mm,
We ought to adapt to a new way of life by whoever you are married to, because he or she will be doing things differently from how you know to do things. And one other thing that is important is patience. When
mm.
your other partner is beginning to grow, to adjust and adapt, you have to have patience for the person.
Patience. Mhm.
You have to have patience so that you understand that it's going to take time. If I have done something, let's say, for example, over 30 years, and then I meet you, and within a month, not a month, sorry, maybe a few months, a year or two, we get married, it's going to be difficult for me to throw away, my way of life for 30 years and just adapt. It's going to take time. But we
Nice.
have to be
Patience.
patient with each other, and then
Mm,
we come to adjust to that. Now,
yeah.
when we have come to that point, like
Mhm.
you're saying about the food, your mom definitely grew up differently. She's going to do things differently. Her food
Friend.
is going to taste different. And so you do not have to compare, like you said. You don't
Mm.
compare anything. Maybe it comes to your mind. Keep it here. Don't bring it out.
The
Don't
moment
say
you
it.
start trouble.
No.
Mhm.
You cannot compare your father to your husband or your
Mhm.
brothers. It's a no.
Mhm. It's a recipe of chaos right away.
It is no. It is
Like.
no. In fact, what you said, I think I did something similar.
Mm.
And so, like, just mentioning, I just was like, oh, okay. I think, oh yeah, I just remembered that I did something like that. It should
Mhm.
not be the case at all.
Mm.
This person who is coming is a new person, a different entity, a new individual, and you ought to go in like that,
Mm.
accepting who the person
Who they
is,
are, just as they are.
just as they are, and you work it out. You see, we're talking about living, and then we're talking about cleaving,
Living,
and then bonding.
bonding,
And so
living,
when that has
keeping, bonding.
happened, then you see that you begin to grow in your
Grow.
relationship. You grow
Okay.
in your relationship, and don't forget, it's hard work. You cultivate, it's like a farm. You
Mm.
cultivate it, and then you begin to reap the fruits, the
Yeah.
produce. You begin to
Yeah.
see that, oh wow, you're going.
Today I have a lot of confessions. So,
Yeah.
you see, we want people to know that it is not like we are perfect people sitting here and just giving advice. No, we want to talk about real marriages, the things we go through, right? Um, you mentioned that love has to be patient. And I think it is an interesting thing. We need to be patient with our partners, right? Because if we love them enough and we accept them just as they are, we should be patient with them as they get to grow with us in the new relationship that we form together, right? Um, I think I have grown a lot in my marriage. The mindset that I had when I got married, I believe if I had continued in that same mindset, my marriage would have collapsed because my temperament is so different. I am quick tempered and I like things to be done in a certain way. My wife is just the opposite of me. She's so calm. Even when I'm stressing and I'm sleep, even when something is annoying me and I cannot sleep, this woman will sleep and enjoy her sleep. We're so different, right? When we married, I think the first few months, I wanted to just change her overnight. I
Mhm.
wanted to change her. For example, she's Catholic. I am not
Mhm.
Catholic. I'm originally a Baptist. She likes to go for her morning mass. I'm not a Catholic, so I don't go to the Catholic church. I wanted her to stop and come to my church. Um, I wanted her to change her name right away to my name. But you see, the moment I tried doing this, I felt that for me, guys, I want you to honestly listen to me on this. All right? For me, I felt that the way that I was able to overcome some of these things was because I genuinely had an open heart and a willing heart praying for the Holy Spirit to guide me. I knew that if I don't do certain things right, I will end up leading and becoming the kind of husband that probably I don't want to become. So I kept asking God to give me some guidance and help. So most of the things that came, they came naturally to me. The Holy Spirit began telling me what to do and all of that, right? So that was when I came to learn that, you know what, make no mistake, don't change your wife. You can't change her. You can never change anybody. The least you can do is to be a good influence to her. You can't change nobody. Nobody can change nobody. I can't change my wife. The least I can do is to be a light and a source of influence that she can pick from. You understand? So that's what I did. I realized there was nothing I stopped asking, when are you going to change name? No. I stopped. Guess what happened? At the right time when she was ready, she herself, guess what? She actually just changed her last name just a few months ago. Even though we're married how many years? About 6 years now. You see? Because that patience was there. At the right time when she herself, she felt like changing her name, she asked, when do you want me to go and change my last name from my father's name to mine? But you know, some of us are just impatient with this, and then we begin having all these problems. I never told her to stop going to a Catholic church. So she goes for her mass. And then after she goes for her mass, she joins me and we go to our church. But some of these things are the problem because we want them to do things the way we do with their families, our extended family, the way we do things. We want them to do just everything like that. And that is where the problem begins to start. There's an interesting question on the
Yes,
screen.
there is.
Can you see that?
Yes, there is. Yeah, I see it too.
Can you read it?
This one is Otto Black.
Mhm.
Please, I have a question. My mother-in-law came for 1 month visit, and as I speak, she's in her room in her third month. Brothers, please, what's the issue?
All right. To Black's question is interesting. We are going to go into that. I think somebody else has another question. So let me highlight some of the questions. We'll try to answer all of them because we're going to be talking about them. This one is from Ernest Aqua. My question is, why is it that when the man is earning enough money, the man's family most at times will be fighting the wife? If the man is making more money, the man's family will be fighting the wife. And Esakwa, can you clarify fighting the wife because of what? That if the man is making too much money and the woman is not making enough money, if you can clarify that, I'll really appreciate that. I think you're talking about disparity in income when the two couples, when the couple are not making the same income. Maybe one person makes more than the other. We'll come to that, okay? And there is another one here. Let me read this one. Humble King Percy Takison. I'm really learning from my mistakes here. Thanks to you, great men. God bless you. This is all we want to do. We want to provide a safe environment where men can openly talk about challenges. We are not perfect. Look at me here, guys. Forget about my glasses that I'm wearing. Forget about whatever we do here. I'm so imperfect. When I talk about all my problems, you notice that I have problems just like you. But the most important thing is when we recognize our difficulty and our weakness, and we decide to come together to team up, sharpen ourselves up to become better husbands for our wives. All right. We're going to talk about most of the things you guys have talked about here. The lesson here is that, guys, don't ever try changing your wife. You are not God. Don't ever try changing your husband. You are not God. The best you can do is to be a good influence in their life, to help them become better, to help them become the better version of themselves. Only God can change us. You cannot change nobody. The moment you try changing your spouse is a beginning of problem because you can't change no human beings. You can only influence. On my platform, I say this, Chocolate Millionaire, I cannot change anybody's life. I can only be an influence on your life. And you run away with the result. Do you see that? So that is how we should approach our marriages. When we have this, it's going to be very, very easy for us, okay? Don't import the things that you brought from your extended families and force it on your spouse. Allow your spouse to grow into the marriage. Allow your spouse to go through the transformation and pray that they become the better version of what you wish to see in a wife or in your husband, in your queen or in your king, okay? All right, now, nosy in-laws and brother and sister in-laws. Sometimes our in-laws are very nosy. They poke their nose when they are not even invited to the party. sometimes they genuinely think that we are too young to run the show ourselves as couples. So they will chip in here and there trying to, ride the ship as captain for us. If you recall anything at all from the video we played last week involving the couple that killed themselves in the US, you heard a man say that something about their in-law. They had in-law problems. For example, the man would like the mother to visit, but the woman said no. The woman, according to the man, the woman will do things for her family and then will not allow the man to do it. The man also said that he was pressured into marrying the wife. All right, so definitely there was an in-law or extended family influence there. In 2 Thessalonians, Paul calls some group of people busybodies, putting their nose in almost everything, causing trouble. Do we have such situations where our extended families just overstep their boundary? If the answer is yes, how can we overcome this?
I think the answer to your question is yes, a very big yes. But they are able to do so because we allow them.
This is you mean we are the ones who allow them to?
We are the ones who allow a third party. Anybody who comes into the marriage beside you and your spouse is a third party.
It's a third party.
And that third party, most often than not, we invite them there. We bring them there. We actually put them there. Now, this is how it begins. You're getting married. And as we know, communication is key, it's vital here. What you talk about, you're getting married, you're talking to me, I'm going to be your husband, you're going to be my wife. So we are talking, we are communicating, we are on actually the same page when it comes to things, because we want to do this, we want to have the wedding this way, we want to have the reception, we communicate. Most often than not, whilst we are doing this, we take some of the issues out. Now, when you go outside your partner without their permission, especially about things that should pertain to only you, and you go and they tell you what to do, that is an invitation for them to come in. And so when you have invited them in or over, sometimes it's difficult to tell them stay away. Because you brought them in, you actually gave them the leeway to come in. And sometimes they don't just come standing, they actually come and take a seat because of the things you talk to them about. When you are married, you have to understand that you are going to actually start a new life, a new family. You're going to have your, like you say, a family tree, your own. Together with your spouse, your wife. I'm a man, let me say your wife. You are going to be building your own castle where you are going to be the king and she's going to be the queen. And so you initiate the conversation how you want things to be. Communication. Communication is vital, it's important. Some people, they won't talk, or they talk about little things, and they go out and say everything to either their mother because maybe they want to marry the man alone, but he doesn't have the financial strength, the capacity. So, oh, daddy, we need this, mommy, we need this, you guys do this for us. They agree to do. Guess what? Now they will be telling you what other things to do because they are actually giving you the money. And unfortunately, sometimes the other party doesn't even know that you are going to your parents. It is important, yes.
Wow.
We married the whole family when we married.
So disrespectful to even go and take matters to your extended family without involving your other partner. It's so disrespectful.
So disrespectful. That is demeaning. That is the worst thing you can do to your spouse. So when you start on this note, that is an invitation already. It's an invitation to tell them to come in and have a say in your things. Look, I'm sorry. But there are some people, when they have actually gotten married and they have issues and they are talking about them with the spouse, sometimes when they have even arrived at a decision, you say, okay, you know what, hold on. I like to talk to my mother about it, and I see what is. And some men, of course, what I'm talking about goes for both parties, the
Mm-hmm.
men and the women.
Mm.
That means that you have not left. That means that even the mind, you haven't left.
You have been
If
left.
you discuss something with your
Mm.
wife and you say to your wife, hold on, I have to go ask what my dad thinks, what my mom thinks, what somebody else thinks,
Uh-huh.
that means you are not, no, you are not fit to be there.
Yeah. Mm.
You are not fit to be there. So when you take issues like this out, you are going to run it. Sometimes friends. And let me talk about something that is very, very important here.
Mm.
Speech.
Mm.
Sometimes the words we say to even the other party is so demeaning. You want to talk to the person about something, but you know what? Sometimes the kind of words we say sometimes will undo them, and it will take several years to make them again.
They become so vegetative because of our words. We kill
Our
them.
words. If
Mm.
you see a weakness in your partner, please don't take it out. Talk it over with him or with her. She is there for you. He's there for you. You said you are going to live together. You are going to work out together. Have open discussion, conversation. Sit down. What do you think? What is going on? Have like dialogue. Talk about the issues. When you come to a point you realize that you can't find a solution, seek professional help. And when you
Professional
decide to
help.
talk to somebody
Mm.
outside, it should be a decision that both of you agree on.
Mm. Not just one person going out.
No,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes one person has somebody they revere, they
Mm-hmm.
respect, they think, oh, this person is this, so I have to go. And without the other parties,
Mm.
involvement, perhaps even agreement,
Yeah.
they take the issue out there, they're out there talking about it already. And when they come, unfortunately, they come and say this. Even this person said this, even this person said this, even that man said, even this one said that. That is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everything should be between you and your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
You and your spouse. You discuss everything and anything.
Keep it inside.
Everything and anything. It
Okay.
starts with communication.
Remember when we first met and we had conversations about our own families? I shared a story. In fact, there are things about my family that before I say them on my channel, my Chocolate Millionaire page, for example, I seek permission from my wife. Is it okay if I share this aspect of our family story? And then she said she's okay with it. If she's not, I don't go public with it, right? Because I need to seek clearance from her before I go out with maybe an information. Um, One challenge we had difficulty conceiving. Before Joanna was born, we had a lot of stress. When she grows up, she's going to know that she's a miracle child. And, we kept trying and trying and trying. I have shared this on my platform, so I'm not ashamed of it. And eventually, we found out that I had fertility issues. So we had to, we prayed about it. My wife was actually the one who prompted me to go get myself checked. She took the lead by going to check herself. And then later on, she said, you know what? I think it's been more than a year we've been trying. We need to go see the doctors. So when I went there, we realized that, you know what, the doctors were saying I had problem with XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Canada, they will let you do the blood work and the checks and blah, 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 multiple months of tests. Guess what happened? We agreed how we're going to handle this problem. One, none of our friends will know about this. We agreed, me and my wife, we agreed to this. I said, look, when we present this thing to our friends, it will show our weakness. Some of them may even use it against us. So we agreed never to mention it to even our best friend. None of them knew. Two, we agreed that none of our family members will know about this. My parents never knew. No member of my family knew. No member of her family knew about it because we agreed to this. we agree to only tell two groups of people. Guess who they are? One, God, through prayers, and two, professional medical advisors, doctors. They were the only two people who knew. Nobody among our community knew we had problems. And I think that it protected us a lot. It gave us the opportunity to trust and seek the face of God and seek expert help. And guess what? At the end of the day, we were able to receive solution. We conceived, and then we had Joanna. Would you believe that the first time my parents or her family got to know about this was on my Choco Millionaire page when I shared the testimony, right? Meaning that they had to actually come to my social media page to hear this from my family. That is the extent to which we are together. We are united on how to handle our issues. But imagine you both are having this problem, and then the man goes to tell the mother, my wife cannot give birth. The woman also goes to tell, and then at the end of the day, everybody starts pointing. Now, even though we never told my parents until we shared this story, recently I spoke with one of my uncles, and guess what happened? Even though we never told anybody, some of my family members were already pointing fingers at my wife, saying that she cannot give birth, she is barren, she is this. When I heard it, I laughed. I told my uncle, I laughed. You see how you guys are pointing fingers wrongly. The problem was me, but people are in the back, even though we never told them. So imagine if we actually went to tell them this, they would have actually done worse than this. Some of our extended families are just looking for the little challenges we have to smear our wives. We don't have to give them that yard, right? Even when the wife is not a problem, we are quick to heap the blame on them because we, the men, are the ones who expose our wives' weaknesses. We, the women, or our wives are the ones who expose our weaknesses. If we never go out to tell our families that my husband is a 1-minute man, how will anybody know your husband has a ejaculation problem? But we are the ones who go to tell people out there, and then they use it again. So when they see our husbands in jeans walking around, all they see is a mocking stock, a man who cannot fire, and then they tease. You understand? We have stories where people come public and then they shame their spouses, right? I don't think it is right. Things must be kept within. If there are even problems that two of us are facing, we need to speak to the professionals. There is a reason why these people are called professionals, because they stake or they abide by the code of confidentiality. A professional is not supposed to take your business and put it on Front Street. You know what I mean by Front Street? Gossip Avenue. You know what I mean by Gossip Avenue? A market where people trade in rumors and destroy people, right? No professional is supposed to carry your business. No doctor is supposed to carry your business. That is why when you have problems, you either pray to your God and then you seek professional advice. If you decide to ever involve your friends, it should be friends that both you and your spouse agree to and you trust. Else, you'll be the ones to expose the cracks in your foundation and people will begin taking advantage of it. The enemy is always looking for a clue from you. And sometimes we are the ones who give the enemy the clue. And the enemy strikes us when we give them the clue. Do you see that? When the devil came to Eve in the garden, he said, did God tell you XYZ? He was looking for a clue. And then Eve began giving all the clue out. Adam was there. Instead of you to go and call Adam and say, you know what? Somebody is asking questions. Or what should we say? Huh? Eve began leaking all the clues like that. And the devil just capitalized on that. Boom, distracted. You see, we shouldn't get to that point where we let our family keep things inside. If you have problems and you need help, you both should talk about it and go see professionals. Big Joe, it definitely becomes very difficult if one partner does not agree to the fact that we have problems. For example, what if I never agree to the fact that we have fertility problems? If I never agreed, it would have made it difficult for my wife, isn't it? If she also never agreed, definitely it would have been difficult for the other person to step out, right? So we need the two. If the two of us are not united, it becomes difficult to form. You see, when you become a husband and wife, you are united. It doesn't mean you always agree. Sometimes you disagree, but you must see the bigger picture and you must have the interest of your family at heart. When we have the interest of the family at heart, we will not keep each other at loggerhead. We will not be at loggerhead with each other. We'll find a way to build a common ground. It's not easy. Sometimes it will take a little bit of a debate here and there, but we will arrive there. That's my one piece there, my example there. So should we be drawing boundaries? I personally am of the opinion that Husbands, we need to step forward, step up our leadership game by showing authority or having dominion, having authority and influence in our marriages. What do I mean by that? I'm not talking about being a husband who is bossy. Bossy means like a boss who controls everything. I'm talking about a husband who shows real leadership in decision making, quality decision making. A husband who is able to sit the wife down to discuss things using facts, using evidence, using examples, using, to convince the wife that this is how we should go about things. I believe if we do this, we keep our families outside to a very big extent. We only use them when we only bring them in when we need them, and we consider them as resource. But imagine if me, the husband, or you, the husband, Big Joe, we don't show that leadership, and our wives cannot count on us. Is it not easy that our wives will be looking for help from outside? I think they will. We need to show that leadership, which will help us to now define our boundaries, to determine what comes in and what doesn't come in, right? I had to make this tough decision. At a point, members of my family were accusing my wife that certain things, the woman has hijacked his attention, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they will gossip before it gets to you. When I got wind of it, when I got wind of it, right? I spoke with the people who were involved, and I told them, you know what? Me and my wife are one. If you say these things about my wife, you are basically saying them about me. You are calling me an incompetent, son. That's not the case. I had to defend my wife. 2, I also had to sound a stern warning to them that if anybody tries to denigrate my wife with perception that is not factual, if anybody tries to attack my wife, trying to get to me, this is a warning. I'm pretty sure my uncle watches me. Some of my uncles watch this channel, so they know me. Anybody who comes between me and my wife is on their own. I'll cut them off. And I'm saying this on a live video, right? I'll cut them off. No matter who you are, the moment you come between me and my wife, to the point where you want to pitch us against, I cut you off. I want you to know that me and my wife is my priority. My family is my priority. God first, and then my wife. My father will always be my father. My mother will always be my mother, my brothers and sisters, but there will be none like my wife. You can never pitch my wife's head against mine, trying to cause conflict. If you do, I will cut you off. The moment you begin showing this leadership, your in-laws will respect you. Guess what? Your in-laws will take you for granted if you cannot show that you are the man of the house. A man of the house is not a bossy, authoritarian, and a narcissistic man. A man of the house simply means somebody whose leadership can be felt from afar. That when your fathers watch you, they are proud of you, right? My father-in-law, my wife's dad, has never caught trying to control, because when he watches from afar, I'm pretty sure he's proud of the fact that my daughter has married a man who knows what's up. You know what I mean? We need to show we know what's up. If we are men and we don't know what's up, they're going to be moving us around like puppets. You know what I mean? When we show we know how to lead our house by example, no in-law has the time to come and control you. They can't even try it. They respect you so much. But where there is no leadership in the house, anybody comes from everywhere, man. Your brother-in-law will come and poke his nose. Your sister-in-law is going to come and poke her nose. Your mother-in-law will come and poke their nose because their man is not leading. There is no influence. There is no leadership in the house. Men, we need to step in the driver's seat and steer that vehicle and drive it properly. If we don't, somebody else is going to do it. And it might just be the person you don't want to be leading the marriage for you. All right, that's a little one I would say there. Big Joe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to address one of the issues that I think I see someone, Ernest Appa has written something. A man's family will be fighting the wife because she's enjoying the man's wealth or money or property. And like I said, it starts from somewhere. Now, I want to start from this angle and address the issue, and then also tie it into the one that there's another question about the in-law that had actually was coming for 1 month, but actually had been there for 3 months. Now, like I said before, this borders on communication. communication.
Mm.
How you communicate with your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
your wife, or your husband. It's important. It's not things you state or say outside.
Mm.
It is important and very, very, in fact, this cannot be overemphasized. I have to state that you, as an individual, whether you are the man or you are the woman, the husband or the wife, you make your family your own family.
Mm.
Understand what your partner means to you.
Mm.
You have to state it categorically that this wife of mine compliments me.
You need to affirm it publicly.
You
Mm-hmm.
ought to affirm it to yourself first, and
Mm-hmm.
then to anybody outside there, especially your family or friends.
Mm.
You have to let them understand that when you're talking about you as an individual, before you were by yourself, but now your wife, I'm speaking from a man's perspective, your wife compliments you. And so without your wife, you are not complete.
You're not complete.
When you begin to sound this warning to your friends, you begin to create in their minds that, hey, my wife and I are one.
Mm.
My wife and I are one. My wife and I are one. There is nothing you tell me that I'm not going to tell my wife. You say the same thing to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You say the same thing to your brothers, your siblings. You say to your extended family. If there's a way you have to say it, whether verbally or non-verbally, like you have to let them understand that between you and your wife,
Mm-hmm.
no one can pass, not even air. You're tight, closely knit together. When they understand and begin to see that in action, they are careful how they approach you.
Mm.
A lot of the time, the man will open himself or the woman will open herself up and they come through that angle.
Mm.
When you actually state it categorically that my wife is the one who compliments me, you know what? I do so much well and great as you knew me to be before. But after I got married, my wife and I are one. We work together.
Work together as a team. Mm-hmm.
We work together as a team.
Mm.
And so for that reason, there is nothing that comes where it's only me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when we have allowed, the in-laws to come in, and the in-laws, I don't mean just parents. Sometimes siblings, aunties, they sometimes will call and would make demands or maybe requests, trying to ask for money because they need help, or of course they need help. Let me put it that way, not money, help, assistance, because that comes in so many different forms. It is important, in fact, imperative on whoever the call comes through to make it known to the other party that my, an extended relation called me, and this is what they are saying. And so I want to, put it before you first. We look at it, and then I'll give an answer. This does not mean you are weak. Some men think that when they discuss things with their wife, means they are weak. This is not a sign of weakness. This is strength. Because if you actually honor, if you show dignity to your wife, the one who is going to live with you for the rest of your life, and you go to her with issues like this, it doesn't show weakness. It's only the strong man, that leader, who is going to go discuss with, because you are working together. And so you have to let them know, let your family understand that before it was just you. Now there is a higher priority relationship in your life, and that is your spouse.
Your spouse.
And so you begin to create that awareness in their mind, and it's not going to come easy.
Mm-hmm.
That will not come easy because
Beautiful.
for them, they are used to getting or deriving benefits from you.
Yeah.
When you get married, it's not that you are like you're stopping, but
Mm-hmm.
you let them understand that you know what, I'll discuss with my wife.
Beautiful.
We'll talk it over. We'll see what we can do. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have agreed to do that, you don't go and tell them I did it. You don't go and say, oh, I gave you. You say we did it because we are working together. We did it.
You did it.
That
Mm-hmm.
alone will make your people respect your spouse.
Yes. When you said
That
that we,
alone will make your people know that your spouse is very, very, in fact, an integral part of your life.
yeah.
And so they will not take her for granted. Now, the issue about spending the money,
Mm-hmm.
spending when your people think your wife is spending your money, because sorry, but unfortunately, you have not told your family, you have not told them that your wife is now your higher priority relationship.
Mm.
You have to let them understand that, yes, you were there before, but now I have a higher priority relationship. My
Mm.
wife and I are together. We are
Mm.
working together. The benefits will not cease. The benefits will there. In fact, if you are in a position to help, help. But there has to be a discussion between you and your wife.
That-
You
I
have to talk it over. You have to, let her know what is going on. And then when you have done it, the credit comes to both of you.
Mm.
In that case, it is going to be difficult for someone to come from behind trying to, have you clash your heads.
Mm. I think
It's
I
going to be difficult because whoever comes, they know that you are together. You are one, solid. There's no way they come. But
mm.
he said that we know there are some of the in-laws who would always persist because they still feel and think that they have that. The other part,
Okay.
education. You as the man or the woman, you try to educate your people
Mm.
because back in the day, maybe that was what was done.
Mm.
In this today's world, in the 21st century, things have changed. So you do it respectfully and you educate them.
Mm.
You don't shun them, you don't like blast them, you don't like insult them, you don't throw them, under the bars, but gradually you let them understand. That is why I'm using the word educate. You
Educate.
educate them, you let them
Mm.
understand that this is where you are right now, this is what you're doing. And
Mm.
especially when you have kids as well,
Mm.
the resources will be limited.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have so much. And so you would have to take time, discuss it, see how you can, help
Mm.
in terms of, let's say, quantum, what you can do.
Mm.
Decide it and you do it. And when you are working this way, you do it for both parts of the families.
Mm.
It shouldn't be that it's going only, one-sided. Yes, sometimes the needs that may come would, would mean that one is more urgent than the other.
Then the other.
You would have to discuss and see,
Mm.
look at it carefully on your own. One has a heart attack. We have to attend to. The one has knee surgery. Definitely, one is life threatening. So you come to the table, you
Way there.
discuss,
Mm-hmm.
and then you move on. Now,
Mm.
the issue about the mother-in-law coming for, we asked for her to come for 1 month. So, and now she's there in the third month. There's an agreement when you guys were coming. Before she came, you agreed on something. So, oh, money, you are coming for a month. She's come. You have observed how things have gone. If it is the case that she needs to stay longer, she ought to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
If she doesn't talk to you, but pretends as if, oh, I'm here, so I'm just going to be here, respectfully, you talk it over with your
Your
spouse.
spouse. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? We said mommy was going to be here for a month.
Has
But
anything changed?
this is the third month.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Or what's happening? Maybe there is something that you don't even know.
We don't know
But if
about
you are in
it.
constant communication, it's going to be difficult that mommy is going to stay for 3 months and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah, she would have given heads up, or you guys would have known about it before it gets there.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
that is why we are saying that it is very, very important that you are always in constant communication.
Communication.
You agree to disagree because
Mm-hmm.
you know what? We have to move on. And
Mm.
you agree to agree. You will not always be in agreement, but at some point you have to make what we call compromise. You have to come to a compromise. Okay, for the greater good of the family, let's do it this way.
Mm.
And so you move on.
Beautiful, beautiful.
When this goes on, it's going to be difficult for mommy to come and
Mm-hmm.
stay for 3 months when we ask her to come for, because definitely when she's there, there's going to be interference.
Mm. Beautiful.
She's there in your face, and then you don't. And let me say this: some of us who, of course, we are men and women, we are going to get older. Our children will marry.
Mm-hmm.
Please, let's allow our children to be adults.
Mm.
When they marry and go, we should allow them to be adults. I know some in-laws, some women, they go to, their in-laws' home, of course, their children. Maybe the woman is her son, will go to the son's home and even go to the kitchen. And when they go, they want to go open, the husband to see
What the
what
wife
the
has
wife is
cooked.
cooking, what they are eating. That is wrong. You are overstepping.
They
You have
happen
no
in real
place
life, not
there.
just in movies, eh?
That is his castle. Allow him to be a man. He is there with the wife. It is not your business to go open saucepans to see what the wife is feeding him.
Uh-huh.
But more often than not, the man would have allowed something to go on, and that is why
Mm.
the women get the nerve, the audacity to come to their
To
homes like
step
that.
in, yeah, and go and open pots.
And sometimes, guess what? Because they're living in the family
This
home,
family home, or maybe a
so they have
compound,
access. So they just come there,
house.
go there, just do anything. Please, if you are not ready, I know sometimes you have to take the step. We call it a bold step.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you'll be there for a little bit, but please, you have to create the boundaries, like your
Mm-hmm.
question. And I'm coming to that.
Mm-hmm.
You create the boundaries.
Mm.
Your bedroom, your kitchen. Look, this is yours. That's your space. Nobody else is allowed there.
Mm-hmm.
No, it can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you create these barriers, you tell them where they can come to, where they can't come. They begin to respect you, like you said. Especially
Mm-hmm.
the man taking leadership and setting the boundaries. The woman your mother cannot come to your home and come and just talk to your wife anyhow. And unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And sometimes, guess what? It goes on the other way.
Mm-hmm.
When the woman's mother is coming or the father is coming because maybe the man doesn't have a great job, he's trying hard, but they come and they look at him, they talk to him in a certain way, denigrate, like as if he's not a man. Meanwhile, he's the husband.
Mm.
How low can a man stoop? When you do this, you are showing the seed of your breakup.
For the breakup of the marriage, yeah.
You ought to work together.
Mm. Beautiful,
You
beautiful,
ought to
beautiful.
communicate.
You've said a lot. There is very little I can add. Let me just add a bit to what he said. He talked about open communication among the spouse. It is something that has personally helped my own marriage. I found that the more me and my wife we talk openly about things, the more we are at peace with each other. In a marriage where there is no opportunity for people to have open communication, husband and wife not talking, not discussing, everybody is trying to imagine what the other person is taking their next move, these marriages will often have problems, have opportunities all the time, 24/7, to openly talk about everything. It makes it easy. With open communication, it is impossible for your in-laws to breach your castle, to invade your castle, which is your home, stay beyond their permissible time without your approval. When I say approval, not the man's approval, not the woman's approval, but the approval of both the man and the woman. without your approval. It's impossible. It will only get there if we, as a couple, allow our in-laws to do that. Um, think about it like immigration. If your in-laws come and they overstay without reasonable grounds, it is just like you getting a visa and coming into the country and you overstay your visa. They have every reason to remove you from the house, isn't it? Yeah, we need to have open conversation. We need you. Communication, communication, communication. Now, in terms of that, the way we personally go about it is that we talk about everything. We decide among ourselves which family member to allow to come and visit us. We have priorities based on. So, for example, we get a lot of people trying to, for example, visit us, especially we living in Canada. My brothers want to come. My sisters want to come. My uncles want to come. My wife's to their side. Everybody wants to come. But you see, me and my wife are on the same page. We have agreed in terms of priority who will be the first person that we will allow to visit. Both of us have agreed on that already. So if you are not on that priority list there, you can keep pushing and pushing, but it won't happen. Why? Because we have already agreed on our own priorities. And unfortunately, it must work that way because we are the ones who are going to host you. So we must agree to it, right? It's just the way, if you are a united couple, it's hard for anybody to control you from outside. We need to be united as a couple. If the two of us are not united, she wants somebody else to come, I also want somebody else to come, and we never agree, we're always going to have conflict. I'm lucky to say that the woman that I'm married to, we are mostly on the same page. We are very unselfish. We think of it, if you are doing something for her family side, I do it with love. If we're doing something from our side, she also does it with love. So it complements, right? The second thing about the money. The man is making more money. I think Aqua asked that question. The man makes more money than the woman. Often at times is the case. In a lot of marriages, the couples don't make the same money. Even if they work at the same place, normally one person may make more than the other. The woman could be making more than the man, or the man could be making more than the woman. Sometimes the women are the ones who have to stay home and take care of the children, so they tend to even make less. But whatever is the case, I want you, first of all, the way Ernest Aqua put it, I'm hoping this is based on somebody's family story, right? I have a problem with the way the question was even posted. One, if the man's family sees that the man is making more money, they sometimes put the problem on the woman for chopping the man's money, for spending the man's money. I have a problem with that. First of all, for my family to think that my wife is chopping my money, it simply means they don't even know we are married. Because my definition of marriage, the biblical definition of marriage, is that me and my wife have become one. In Choco Millionaire's family, which I believe is the same with most Christian families, there is no her money and my money. Guys, I'm using this platform to say this. There is no my money and there is no my wife's money. It is our money. It is his money and her money together. It has nothing to do with who is making more. That is a principle. That is my principle. That is what we believe. Me and my wife, that's what we believe. We don't sit down and say, I'm the one making more. Look, the moment we ourselves have these differences and we are seeing each other's money as different, not brought into the family's, pot, the family's pot together, we give room for our family members to even poke their nose and say, one is chopping the other. Who is chopping whose money? When we are married, who is chopping who? Now, if your wife is not chopping the man's money, whose money is she supposed to go and chop? If the man is not chopping the wife's money, whose money is he supposed to go and chop? You see, remember last week when somebody said 50-50? Some families, they do it 50-50. Right? Some people do ratios, so 70%, 30%. There is a movie I watched. The man said, I am bringing 60%, the woman is bringing 40%. That is for them. Me, in my family, even if my wife is the one making 100% of the money, it is our money, not her money. It is our money. All right? We run joint account, not because I don't think my marriage will ever get divorced or go through divorce. I know divorce is possible. But this is the seed of trust I am sowing into my marriage. I don't know whether this woman will divorce me tomorrow or not. She doesn't even know whether I'll divorce her tomorrow or not. But so long as I have today, there is no my money and there is no her money. There is no Choco Millionaire's property and there is no my wife's property. It is our property. We are in this together. How can we say we are one people when it comes to sex? Having sex, intimacy, that one we are together. When it comes to giving birth, but when it comes to money, is it not part of what this evangelist said right here? That some of us, the Bible says we should live and cleave unto our spouses, but some of us, we have not left financially. We are in a marriage, but financially we have not united. No, we are not. That is why you are running your own account and he's running. There are many people who have genuine reasons why they cannot have monies together. There's no trust. They don't trust each other. Maybe the man mismanages money, goes to the casino, drinks at the bar, a reckless spender. Or maybe the woman is a spendthrift, spends every bit of something that comes into the family of something. You see, that is a problem that needs to be addressed. Until this problem is addressed, you cannot build that financial trust among yourself. I suggest that if any family is having the difficulty of being together, it is one of the smoke signs or a smoke screen telling you that there are bigger problems you need to solve. Because it simply means we are not completely into the marriage. We are not transparent with each other. How can you say you totally love somebody and yet you cannot share an aspect of your life with them? It is just not possible, my friends. It simply means your one leg is in the boat, but your other leg is out. If you're truly in love with somebody, you are in together till death do you part, unless there are reasonable grounds to fear that your life is in danger and you have to flee. But otherwise, if this person is the one you want to spend the rest of your life with, it doesn't make any sense that your money is different from her money. You both want to keep different accounts. Wow. But then when it comes to other things, you want the other person to bring money. It just doesn't make any sense to you guys. We need to revise this. If you are operating a separate account, financial account, the man takes care of some things, the woman takes. Nobody discusses money matters. I'm here to tell you this, and we are here to tell you this. It is the first sign that you have problems in your marriage. Sit down, discuss, and see why you cannot trust your partner with money. Is it because they are bad managers of money? Is it because they are spendthrifts? Is it because they are reckless spenders? There are men like that. We are reckless. Some of us go to the casino. Some of us drink our lives away with monies. Some of us go and womanize with it. Perhaps we need to address the issue of womanizing. Perhaps we need to address the issue of drinking. Perhaps we need to address the issue. But until we sit down and look at this, no matter what we do, that trust, you see, sometimes all you need is just a small crack to open up the other cracks. Financial infidelity coming like this. If you have this kind of problem, why will a nosy in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law not point fingers and say that the woman is spending? Can you imagine? Look, can you imagine anybody ever telling me that my wife is spending my money? I say this on record. No member of my family, not even my dad, not my mom, no member of my family can ever say this in my face, that my wife is chopping my money. Never. They'll be cut off completely. They have to respect the fact that this is how I run my family. But if you don't show this kind of leadership, nobody will take us seriously. Nobody will. We need to show that we know how to run our lives. All right, let's go to Daddy. All right. We can talk about joint account and stuff. Now, there are also, let me add the other bit here. My daughter is beginning to hijack the show now. Okay, come. Okay, it's okay. Guys, there are also some of us. Big Joe talked about the fact that we need to help our extended families to the best of our abilities or our strength, based on the kind of problems that come and the urgency with which they come, to the best of our strength, not against our strength, to the best of our strength. I don't think we need to kill ourselves sacrificing for our families when it is at the detriment of our own families. I believe to the best of our strength, we need to give out of our heart based on our strength. But we need to agree. If we don't agree on these things, we can build that kind of help. My dad was down with stroke. I have said this in my videos. Look, we had to actually be responsible for everything. You know, the Ghana government, they don't give you that kind of help. We are the ones. You see, it is not my decision. Me and my wife had to agree. We agreed to this. That look, based on the seriousness of my dad's issue, we need to do this. She never disputed because she knows it was urgent. Her side, if there are problems as well, and they are serious, we never disagree with these things. We are almost all the time on the same page when it comes to these things. Now, anytime we also help our extended families, here is what happens. I want you to pay attention to this well. Have you noticed that when you, the man, you send monies to your families back home through your mobile money app, especially those of us living overseas, our family members will call us and thank us directly. Oh, my son, thank you for remembering me. Oh, thank you for sending me this missile. And they never will thank your wife. Do you know why? Because we are the ones causing this problem. First of all, we have given the impression that the money came from me alone, not the family. Look at how we have been able to solve this problem. When we send money, we never take credit for ourselves individually. If we send money to, say, my mom or my dad, and they call and say, thank you to me, Choco Millionaire, I quickly correct them and I tell them, this money didn't come from you. It's actually by the grace of my wife. She's right here. Do you want to say something to her? I force them to speak to my wife. Do you know why? By not doing that, you are making it easy for them to think you are the one who is taking care of them. And your wife is not involved. You need to bring your spouse in. When credit comes to one person, don't take a solo credit. Direct it to your other person. Let the glory go to both of you. You know what you do? You make it easy for your family to respect your spouse. Before they would disrespect your spouse, they would have thought about the implication. That if they disrespect the man, the next money is not going to come. Now, another thing you can do is that if you want to send money to your wife's parents, let the man be the one to send the money. Listen carefully. Cross, we call this one cross money send your cross. So if the man, if money has to go to your wife's family, don't let your wife be the one to send it. Let your husband be the one to send it. If money has to go to your husband's family, don't be the one who has to send it as a husband. Let your wife be the one to send it. Do you know what it means? When your parents see that money and they see that it's coming from their daughter-in-law or their son-in-law, they'll respect them. Before they will disrespect them, they will think twice. When they pray, they'll pray for that son-in-law. But they know the next disrespect means no money will come. Some of us will lack this basic wisdom. The man sends money to his parents. The woman sends money. And there is no mention of the other spouse involvement. So all the time when they are there, they think my son is taking care of me. The other person also say my daughter is. So at the end of the day, you see where the problems come from? They never will show respect to the other partner. They don't know. We created Choco Millionaire Foundation. We sponsor some people in Ghana. If you've carefully watched my video, you'll notice that I never take glory for that. I always mention that all of this was made possible by my wife. Some of you don't see my wife on screen. Imagine if I'm the one who portrayed like I'm the one who makes this. You guys will see that I'm the one who is generous and my wife is not. You don't see my wife on screen. But you guys will agree that I always mention that this is our joint effort. Bill and Melinda Gates, even though their marriage was not a perfect example, you can see the unity of purpose when they execute their projects. We miss these things. And these are the little things that tend to destroy our marriages. We must learn the language of we. When the we language exists, there is nothing about me alone. It is about we. Because we means two becoming one in purpose, two becoming one in terms of mindset, two becoming one in terms of deeds, two becoming one in terms of acts, two becoming one in terms of everything. Let me just finish by this. There was a friend of ours in Canada who called my wife once. She was looking for some kind of information or help from us. When she called my wife gave her a certain answer that probably that was not what she was expecting. She thought, if she get to my wife, she'll be able to get what she wanted. So after she spoke with my wife, she called me. I wasn't home at that time. I was in town. Then she called me. And then when she called me, I ended up giving her the same answer that my wife had given her. Now, mind you, me and my wife had not talked about this, that, this person called and was looking for help. She called and quickly called me too, thinking that she was going to be able to get different answers. But when she called me, you know what she said? She said, you and your wife are like twins. You think alike. The same thing your wife told me was the same thing you're also saying. We are almost, if you are so united, the way you think about money is even the same. You think the same way. If you're so united, the way you think about things, most of it doesn't mean you never argue. It doesn't mean you never disagree. But most of the time, you find the platform to build that consensus. Guys, let's work on our marriages. These little things are the little forces that destroy our marriages. May we get a wisdom to speak more of the we language and not I. I. If you remember that video we watched, that gruesome, tragic video we watched last week, you saw you heard a lot of the I language, right? I. Your money, your money. When you have this kind of language, it destroys marriages. Her money, give it to me. And you don't want to give me your money. I did this. I made you this. Come on, this language is deadly. It's toxic. Huh? You made your wife. You are God, Abi. You made your wife. You didn't say you were the vessel God used to transform your wife. You said you made. You are the boss. This kind of language is the first sign of collapse of marriage. A true marriage is built on the we language. And if you understand the mystery of marriage, you are not alone. You are together. This is not to suggest that marriages are perfect. We have perfect spouses. You heard the man say in that video, my wife, marine spirit, Ogbanje, evil spirit. Did you hear that? Meaning that they are not perfect. They have problems. Maybe the woman had evil spirit. I don't know. Maybe she had marine spirit. I don't know. Maybe. But you see, when we begin pointing these fingers like that, with 4 of these fingers pointing back at us, and we don't use the we language, even if the woman has marine spirit, is it not better for us to try and help her to get out of the marine spirit? Even if my husband or your husband is a drunkard, is it not possible to pray, seek help professionally to help him to come out of it? But the moment we point the fingers, you, we are criticizing, we are condemning. No, that's not a language. Condemnation is not a language. Languages that build. You heard what he said? Let's use languages that build, not languages that kill. Some people never recover from these languages. Some people never recover from the words we use on them. We need a wisdom to be able to use the proper language. We need the wisdom to be able to use the proper languages on our spouses, the way we talk to them. Because if we don't talk to them in dignified ways, we don't expect them to talk to us in dignified ways. And then the cycle continues. And then the children pick it up. And then the extended families pick it up. And then what happens? The ship begins to sink because the captain is not in the boat. All right, I've said a lot. If you have something to say, Big Joe, I hope you can tie a couple of things in there.
You said it all, clearly on point. When the man or the woman is working, what I just want to add to what you have said is that you have to understand that whatever you have in the marriage is not yours.
It's not yours, yeah.
It is for both of you. And even if the other party is not working, whatever you bring home is still not yours. It's for both of you.
It's for both of you.
It is for both of you. So you have to understand that. And this is the beginning. When you begin to understand that what you have, look, we are Christians, like you said. Bible says that even your own body
is not yours.
It's not yours in marriage. Your own body is not yours in marriage. Let alone talk about something, you worked and you were remunerated. Even if the woman is not working, you have to understand that the woman is creating such an enabling environment at home for you that you are able to go to work and make the money. She is part of you. And don't forget, even in the wisdom of the world, when you are married and you have property, it is not yours.
Yes.
It is for both of you. There is wisdom even in the world.
Is that not what that when people are married, even in Canada, when the two of you are married, if something happened, they divide it equally.
Because everybody gets married. You are married. You are together. One. Even in the secular institutions, they do understand that when you are married, it is not you. You are together. If you do understand that when you are married, you are together, you work it out together.
We work it out together.
You talk about it together. Do you have any issues? Do you have any concerns? Bring it over to your spouse. That's your first, avenue you go to. You run to. And then, of course, you pray about it because we are believers, we are
Yeah.
Christians. You pray about it, you talk about it, you seek
Mm.
solution.
Mm.
Unfortunately, there are some people, they only pray, they don't want to, find other ways and means. We'll talk about this another time.
Talk about this another
Yeah,
time.
we'll talk about this another time, where you are taking practical steps
Mhm.
to find a solution to an issue.
Okay.
Extended
Beautiful.
family, they are a blessing to us,
Mhm.
especially for those of us who came from Africa or in the Caribbean. We grew up like that. That communal
Mm.
living, it's a resource that we have.
Mm. It's a
But if
resource.
not managed properly, then it becomes something
Becomes
else.
a problem.
And
Correct.
now, if you have a nuclear family, as you grow up knowing that one day you are going to grow up and you're going to have children who will marry. You
Yes.
have to you have to understand that you have to let them
Mm.
be adults. You don't overstep.
You don't
When you are
overstep.
invited, you come in. And especially, we're talking about men. Some of the men, I'm sure, have children who are yet to marry. They will
Mm.
listen to us. Even when your children are inviting you in ways and means that you know is not wrong,
Mhm.
please refuse it. Tell them we don't do it this way.
Yes.
Advise them
Mm-hmm.
and let them stick together with their spouses. Let
Mm-hmm.
them go together. Let them hold their hands together
And work it to
and pray
yeah.
and find solutions on their own.
Beautiful.
A
Beautiful.
solution that will work for one party might not work for you.
Mm.
You have to understand
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So you don't come and say, did you hear what the other party said? Did you hear
Yeah.
what the man said? Because for them, it worked for them. Maybe it
Mhm.
might not work for you guys.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You have to
Sweet Joe.
communicate.
Um, we know the running theme through our first video, second video, and then this is our third video, has been culture. We cannot
Yes.
isolate culture when it comes to even how we handle resources of the nuclear family. Um, for example, in many parts of Africa, when something happens to, say, the man, say he passes on, there are some cultures where they'll kick the woman out. The woman is completely cut off. She is given nothing. The extended family will come in. I'm not sure whether this would be an appropriate topic for discussion, or maybe we should look at inheritance, family and inheritance, and then how we should handle it. But I don't subscribe to that school of thought. I don't. Nothing of my family, the Choco Millionaire family, nothing of my family belongs to my extended family. It is our family. So if something happens to me, everything stays in my family based on how we have agreed to use it. Um, Nobody will invoke patrilineal or matrilineal law to come and take everything. They won't get to that point. I've already made provision for everything already. But if we don't make these provisions, I mean, we leave our spouses. Imagine to die interstate or to die without a will, right? I think if we were living in Africa, imagine if we live in Africa and something happens to us. I'm pretty sure a lot of families still invoke this. I'm not sure how our laws have evolved over time to catch up with this, but we've seen a situation, lots of it, where women are completely robbed of everything just in the event of death of their husband. Extended families come, kick them out of the house, take the past from them, take everything from them. Basically, I don't know. It is pure robbery. I'm saying this on record. I don't subscribe to that. Whatever belongs to the Choco Millionaire family is for the Choco Millionaire nuclear family. None to my extended family. If there is anything in my family that goes to my extended family, it is because me and my wife have both agreed to it in our will. Nobody applies matrilineal, patrilineal, Eurozoological linear on my family. No. Guys, I keep saying this. We as men, we need to rise up and lead our families. We need to use wisdom to lead our families. What do you think will happen to these little ones if somebody from somewhere, excuse my words, extended family, comes to kick my wife out? What do you think is going to happen to the future of these kids? We need to rise up. I'm not sure whether this is a good topic for today, or maybe we should just make this another topic and then talk about it. But the extended influences, family influences are many, and it can cripple our nuclear families in different ways, especially when we don't have our boundaries properly drawn. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Big Joe, you have something to add to that? Do you think we
But
should?
I think that
This would be a good topic for another day,
this,
isn't it?
we should leave this for we can tackle this. You know, we're still dealing with culture.
Yes.
And how culture plays, you know, different roles in our lives. And when it comes to, like you said, inheritance, yes, there's a part there. But today we have almost, in fact, we have exhausted our time.
With today's
So
podcast,
I think yes, I think we should we can table that for next week and look into that. But for that topic to happen, I think that we have to look at interstates and we look at, you know, preparing a will. We should look at
preparing a will. We can talk about that in a different.
Then we can talk about that.
Beautiful.
We take it from there.
Yeah, I've learned a lot in today's edition. Thank you, contributors. Humble King Percy Takison and Nesakwa, Otu Black, the gifting of many of you who have sent your questions or your comments. We appreciate those of you who have followed our pages on Facebook, the Man to Man Family Podcast. You've also subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please look up for us on YouTube. This video is going to be available on both our Facebook page and also our YouTube channel, Man to Man Family Podcast. Man to Man Family Podcast, building resilient men, strong men, men of character, so that we can build resilient families. And it's been a very, very, very wonderful edition today, talking about extended families and how we can leverage them as an important resource and a blessing from God, not to the detriment of our families, but for the benefit of our families. And we'll share some ideas. If you disagree with any of the things we've said, no need to attack us. Drop your comments. We'll be more than happy to hear your side as well. Share this video as well to bless somebody. If this video has been helpful to you, drop us a comment. Our email is also available. chatwithmantoman@gmail.com. chatwithmantoman@gmail.com. Please consider sending us an email. We'll keep your name anonymous. If you have some personal issues or things you would like us to also discuss, suggestions, please send them to us. It's been a wonderful edition today. Myself and Papa Joe, aka Big Joe, aka the chemist in the lab, aka Chofanche. Chofanche in the Gan language means medicine man, the man in the lab who makes medicine. That is him there in his beautiful outfit. Thanks so much for being with us. God bless you. Do you have anything to say before we sign off?
Thank you very much for showing support and encouragement by your messages, your comments. We're here, like we said, because we want to help. This is the hand we are extending to help someone who is weak, feeble. We just want to help someone, you know, get on their feet, stand strong, and, you know, resolve their issues. That's why if you have any concerns, you can send us an email, you can write a comment. We go through all the comments every time before we come back online. We are going to address any issue or concerns that we will put there. And we'll do well to reach out to you if you have any questions. We are here to help. Thank you very much for watching, and may the Lord bless you.
God bless you and thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye from us.
Bye-bye.